Go ahead.
Hi everyone, I hope you can hear me, and good afternoon to you all. I hope your first few days back at school, if you are back, have gone well. And I don't know about you, but I'm still waiting for the summer holidays to start when things get a little quieter to recharge. I just want to apologize again for the problems that we had last week, and I'm so glad so many of you have managed to join today. We've got so much to tell you all, and we really didn't want you to miss out on all the exciting things that we have available for you. So let's get started. If you haven't been to a GCSE Science update before and your first one was going to be last week, just to introduce myself first, my name's Hannah Nethwani and I'm the Qualifications Product Manager for GCSE Sciences. And one of the main things I do as part of my role is to make sure that you have the support that you need to be able to deliver our qualifications, and where we can, go above and beyond in creating lots of exciting support materials for you to be able to pick up and use in your teaching. And I'll be taking you through what we have available today. Okay, so just before I get started on the main slides, and there is a quick poll on the screen, I think, that should be coming up for you. And if you can just put into there how you're feeling about the teaching situation overall. So where 1 is very apprehensive, 5 is confident, you know what you're doing, you know where you are with everything. So I'll just give you a minute to do that. Okay, and just going to move on there. So we've got most of us a lovely bell curve there. So most of you on 3, some of you on 2, some of you on 4. Okay, so hopefully this session should help you with at least letting you know what we've done and what we've got available to try and help alleviate some of the science issues that we've got there. So just to let you know what we're going to be covering today, we've got updates for GCSE Science just in terms of the autumn series and the June series, just a couple of quick notes just to make sure you're aware of a few things. I'll then be moving on to talk to you about support from Pearson. So we've got a free diagnostic snapshot tool that you can use that's an online quick quiz. We've got our mock service, and we've got lots more content to tell you about today as well. We're also going to be launching our Mastery in Science this week. So Nikki and Victoria, that might sound familiar to you. And starting with Year 11. So we've got Year 11 available now. And then as we go through this term, there'll be the remaining years as well. So there's going to be a full course for Year 7 right up to Year 11. And I'll be telling you a lot more about that later on today. The final section is just any questions for me, for your team. If there's anything that you feel that we could be providing in addition to help support you, or anything else that you might need, please let us know. Either put it into the Q&A or into the group chat, and we'll try and make sure that we action all of those after the session. Okay, so just as a quick reminder, the grades that were finally issued in August represented either the centre assessed grade or the algorithm grade, whichever was higher. You can still raise appeals if there was an error in the centre submission, or if you think there's been an exam board error, and there are lots more details on the website if you wanted to have a look through those. So I've just put a link in there. I think the links don't work for you, but you will get the PowerPoint presentation where you'll be able to click through anything that we've got. So they're not active at the moment. So just in terms of the autumn series then, the link at the top there is just to the exam timetable. So there is a full set of exams proposed for autumn 2020. Just a quick note to say that subjects might be withdrawn if there are no entries by the deadline. For GCSE, the entry deadline is Friday the 18th of September. But for GCSE Maths and English, it's a bit later. It's the 4th of October, and the A-level deadline has already passed. So make sure that you've just got those dates in your diaries. In terms of the actual timetable for the autumn series, GCSE exams are due to take place from the 2nd to the 23rd of November, and the science exams within those, they're quite spread out across that time frame, so they're not kind of bunched in one particular area. So if you want to have a look at what that timetable looks like, there's a link there directly to the PDF, so it will take you straight to the exam timetable. And for those, the results day will be 11th of February for GCSE, a little bit earlier for English and Maths, so it's the 14th of January for English and for Maths. And then just a quick note there, if you are looking at A-level entries, then the A-level results day is the 17th of December for A-level, and the exam window for AS and A-level exams is earlier than GCSE, so it's 5th to the 23rd of October. So just to make sure you're up to date on all those dates that we've got there. In terms of who can enter for the autumn series, you probably know this already, but I just want to make sure that you're all aware of what the guidance is there. So anyone who has entered in May or June 2020 and wishes to resit, anyone who intended to enter in May or June 2020 but was unable to do so. So, for example, private candidates, things like that. And just a quick note on entry fees, they've been frozen at summer 2020 level for all general qualifications. So that will remain the same for all the fees published as 2019 and 2020. So it will be the same as last year. So in terms of next year, looking forward now to our summer series in 2021. So for GCSE Sciences, you've obviously, a lot of you have probably been following the content that's been coming out with Ofqual, all the work in the media that's been happening. So just to reiterate, for GCSE Science, there are no changes to the specification content. So there's no change to the actual content you're teaching. There are no changes to the content, the style, the duration of the exams. The actual exam series is exactly the same as other years. So all the past papers, all the mock papers, everything is still completely valid for exams next year. And one thing that has changed in terms of submissions is the declaration form that you submit. So the head teacher declaration does still need to be submitted in the usual way with the usual dates, but there will be a new form to download from our website. More detail on this on the next slide. So we're updating the form just for this year. So make sure you download the new form that's going to be on the website for that. And the reason there's a new form is because the only change that we are looking at for GCSE Science is that Ofqual have permitted observation of demonstrations and or simulations to cover required apparatus and techniques. So the emphasis, if you read the documentation, is quite clearly on still carrying out the core practicals where possible, but if this is not possible, then you can look at doing observations, simulations, demonstrations, that sort of thing, to help support students learning with those core practicals. So the other important thing to say here is that because the exams are still the same, you'll know that students in their AO1, AO2 in the second bullet points, they are assessed still on their understanding and knowledge of the core practicals and exam papers. So they will still be assessed in the same way with the core practicals. So there will still be that assessment, even though they may not have carried out the core practicals themselves. And we are providing some support around this, which I'll be telling you about shortly. But just to make sure you're aware of this is what the changes are in terms of the outlines that Ofqual have come to a decision to. So just to make sure you're all clear on that. So in terms of the actual head teacher declaration form, as I said, you still need to submit the form in the same way. The declaration form is changed for this year only, and the only change we're making is just to reflect the fact that you might be allowing simulations, using observations of demonstrations as part of your coverage of the core practicals. So rather than the form saying you must have carried out the core practicals, it will now include the fact that you might be doing some of those through observations of demonstrations and or simulations as well. So there's a link there that takes you through to the website. It's currently the old form because you won't need to submit it yet. It's not until next year, but there will be a new one. So you will need to make sure you download the new form, and obviously we'll make sure we keep you up to date with when that form is available, so with our standard email alerts, and it will be up on the website as well. So a quick note on what about summer 2022, which sounds like it's really far away, but not for your year 10s, I guess, who are going to be starting their GCSEs potentially, or have already started their GCSEs this September. So all the changes have been introduced by Ofqual. But I say all the changes, the one change for science is just for next summer. So it is not, they've not said that anything's going to happen with summer 2022. So the best thing that you need to do is assume that summer 2022 is going to be a normal exam series. There are going to be no changes. Assume that you will be doing, obviously you may not be able to do some of the core practicals, so they might already be impacted by that. But Ofqual haven't said anything about summer 2022 yet. If they do, obviously we'll ensure we support you as fully as possible. We'll make sure we have updates for you. We'll make sure we send things out to you so you're aware of any changes as and when they come up. But just for now, the hope is that your year 10s should have as near normal an experience as possible, and hopefully not as disrupted as your year 10s last year. So hopefully, all being well, we should have a normal series in summer 2022 and as normal as possible teaching for your year 10 starting this year. But obviously that's a kind of watch this space, and obviously we will make sure that you're up to date with if there's any updates or anything on that. Okay, so moving on to tell you more about some support from us then. So the first thing I wanted to tell you about, and I really want to make sure you do this, is a free diagnostic snapshot for Key Stage 4. So this is a collaboration with us and Tassamai, who are an online app-based quizzing app, and they have created bespoke for Edexcel. So this doesn't exist for anyone else, it's especially for all of you. They've put together a quick snapshot that you can use. You can sign up to their website and there's a link there. It's free for the first 5 weeks, so you can use it. No obligation to stay with Tassamai. If you already have Tassamai, it will come up as part of your when you log in, you'll be able to see it as part of the offer that they have. And if you can't see it, please let us know. We can send you a link to it. But essentially, the idea is that you have questions, a few questions in each of the topics across the whole of the GCSE for biology, chemistry, physics, and combined science. And you can do these questions with your students. They're not massively long. They're very short, kind of quick quizzes. And it's just a quick snapshot to give you an idea of where your students are, what they're covering, what they might have missed perhaps last year, and what they're aware of, what they're not, and that sort of thing. So it's just to make sure that you sort of know where your students are, and you can use that information to possibly help plan your learning with your year 11s for the next coming year. You can use it maybe every couple of weeks or something, just so that you can not have to give them all everything at once. And the founder of Tassamai, Murray, has offered his advice to help you use it. So if you've not used Tassamai before, he's available to help consult with you. He'll help you use the service, and he'll help you analyze and interpret your results as your students are using it as well. So it's brilliant if you've not seen it. So please have a look at it. Please sign up to it. Please use it. We've created it to help you. So hopefully it will be something that you can use starting from now, so that you can use it with your Key Stage 4 students. The other things that we've got on our website are our GCSE and Key Stage 3 baseline tests, which are available under mock and practice paper. So those are paper-based, obviously, but you can use these, or you can use individual questions from them to sort of see where your students are with their learning, particularly if you know exactly which topics they've missed last term, for example. We also have our mock papers, just to remind you there, that are published in 2019. In April, so they're available there. They're still secure, so you can still use those. And the other big thing, which I should have done a big shouty slide about, is that we are creating free core practical videos for all of the core practicals across biology, chemistry, physics, and combined science. So the idea behind this is that you may not be able to do all of the core practicals with your students. They will end up going into the exam possibly having not seen a core practical being done, or they might want to be able to revise them for themselves, for example. So we're going to be creating core practical videos for all the core practicals in our science qualifications at GCSE, so biology, chemistry, physics, and combined science. And the idea is that you can then use these. You'll be able to kind of look through them. There'll be a little bit of a dialogue across them, and you'll be able to have a look at just see what they cover. So they will be coming soon. We should have the bulk of them available for you by half term. So they'll be available there. So you'll be able to start using them from half term. You might start using them for revision. You might be using them as an introduction to a practical that you're doing, but they're all going to be completely free and they'll be on the website. So you'll be able to access those. We will be sending you emails about all of this as well in our subject advisor updates and our marketing updates. So we will let you know as soon as they're available. So hopefully that should help as well. And obviously we have lots of other additional past training content, including things like mock marking training, previous network sessions like this, where we've done network sessions on metacognition and that sort of thing, for example, as well. So those are a few things that we've got to help support you with the exams. The other thing that I wanted to briefly mention is our lovely comment there from Nikki saying, can't recommend Tassamai enough, excellent resource. I'm glad you think so. And Sadia, great news about the practicals. I'm glad that's helpful as well. So I'm really glad that what we're creating is going to be helpful, because that's the main thing, is that we want to try and help support you and make sure that you've got what you need to be able to deliver the qualifications for the next year and beyond. So this is our mock service. I'm not sure whether a lot of you have heard about this, but this is our Pearson it's our paid for mock service, and there are 3 different levels of service depending on what you want the mock service to do for you. But essentially it is for us to do the mocks for you. So we will provide a paper if that's the option that you go for. We'll send a paper out to you, you get your students to sit the paper, you send it back to us. We will have our examiners mark it, it gets standardized in the normal way, and then you get all the results and you have all the rich functionality on Results Plus as well. So there's all of that information, all of that data, all of the marking, that all gets done for you. And as I mentioned, there are 3 levels of service with this. So there's a paper-based service, which is what I was just talking about. There's an on-screen mock service as well. So it's still marked by us, but this is digital. So it means that you don't need to worry about sending papers back and forth, but it's all kind of done on screen. Or there's also another on-screen service where it's marked by you, but then we will kind of do the other back of house administration and looking at getting it onto Results Plus and that sort of thing as well. So there's a lot more information on this. I've not spent massive amount of time on it today, but this is just, there's a link at the bottom there and you'll get this in your slides. So if you're interested in the mock service, please sign up. It's a brilliant service. Hopefully it will save you a bit of time with looking at mocks. We all know the importance of mocks from this year, and maybe it might be something that it would just be a bit of a time saver for you for next year. Okay, so there's another quick plug here, I guess, for our supporting transition resource. This is a free future projects resource between Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 3. So we're not looking at GCSE now, but I just thought I might mention this just in case you're looking at, for example, your primary students starting or students moving from year 6 to year 7. There might be some content in here that you might want to use to be able to use that. Nikki, question there about, is there a timescale for the mock service? The timescale is, so there are 2 parts of the timescale. The first thing is it's done whenever you want it. So if you want, you tell us when you want to do your mocks, and then we'll build that into our schedule. If you mean timescale in terms of the turnaround time, it varies depending on what option you go for, and there are more details on the website for that. I think it's a couple of weeks from when you submit the papers back to us and then for us to be able to give you the results for that. But I think it does vary slightly depending on which option you go for. But in terms of when you do them, that's completely up to you. You just tell us when you need to do it, and then we'll make sure that we get everything out to you. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to make sure that you all are aware of, please bookmark this page, is our subject content page on our GCSE Science web pages. So this is where we have all of the content that we've created around our Fantastic Scientists of the Month series. We've got a really exciting October month coming this month. And this is so we're doing for Black History Month, we're doing one scientist every week. And there are almost 5 weeks in October, so we've actually got 5. So one of my colleagues is very, very busily trying to put those together for us for October. So look out for those. They'll be coming up on the website once a week. We've also got our careers videos. There's some of them up on already, and there will be more coming shortly. And our careers poster, if you've not seen that, please have a look at that. It's a really nice way to kind of have a look at what careers there are moving on from science. Not the obvious lab technician, but also lots of other ones that you may not directly link to science. And it's just a way to sort of start engaging and enthusing your students with lots of other things that they can do with science. There's also a Support Beyond Pearson page, which has got lots of links to science advocates around teaching and learning. It's got STEM links in there and lots of other things in there as well. So please have a look at that if you've not seen that already. Quick question there. Are students able to see the core practical videos? So we'll be sending them, we'll be putting them up on our website, and I mean, if a student comes onto our website, then they probably can see them, but they probably wouldn't actually go to it to have a look unless you tell them where to look. So the plan is to have them up on the website, unless you think that's there might be a better way of doing it, in which case we can look at doing that. We may also have a YouTube channel where we can have all of them up on YouTube as well as part of our Pearson YouTube channel, so they might be there too. But they will definitely be easily accessible, so you can just literally click on a link and then they'll all be there for you. So I've talked about this a little bit already. So your future in STEM, there's our careers poster there. So there's all the different careers that you can do in terms of going from A all the way up to Z. And there's lots more information there as well for you to have a look at. Now, in terms of network events this term, I just wanted to give you a quick update on this, just so you know sort of where we are with networks for this term. We obviously have this session, so this is our GCSE Science update session, and we'll have one of these, so the plan is to have one of these at least every half term. So there'll be one coming back from half term in October. And the idea behind these ones is for us to give you updates essentially on what's happening with GCSE Science. If there's an opportunity to ask us any questions, we can spotlight any particular areas that we feel that you need to know about. So for example, today we're talking about mastery. And also there'll be kind of anything else where, for example, we're releasing the core practical videos starting from the half term. So we'll be able to give you those links when we update you in our next half term. So we've got that as well. The other thing that we've got as part of our networks is our collaborative network. So these are designed to be a little bit more active for you and not just somebody talking at you for about half an hour to an hour, but they're meant to be about kind of you actually doing some work alongside the person who's presenting, being able to collaborate a little bit with other people who are on the call as well. So hopefully you'll be able to do that. And we've got one of those each half term as well. The one this half term is going to be in October, and that's going to focus on mastery, specifically looking at catching up and revision for your year 11s. And the one after half term is we're going to have a little bit of focus on transition support from Key Stage 3 to Key Stage 4. So those will be available to book soon. So there's a link there for you. They may not be up yet because we've only done them recently, but they should be up there shortly. So that's what the difference is between those two. So that's how you'll see them laid out when you go to the training page to book. Okay, so moving on to tell you a bit more about mastery in science. So this is one of the really big projects that we've had going this year, and it's effectively a way to teach the content across Key Stage 3 and GCSE. The idea is that you've got big ideas which go from year 7 right up to year 11, and they spiral through as teachers, as you're being taught the content. So we've got 3 big ideas, 3 in biology, 3 in chemistry, 3 in physics. And the idea is that these mastery pathways are structured so that each time that big idea is visited, you are consolidating prior knowledge, you're adding an extra layer of that deeper understanding because they're older, they're going to be covering slightly more content. And then it also includes regular formative assessment points to identify areas to support learning that you can use as a quick check if that's how you want to use them. And the other thing that we're including is an exemplification of mastery section, which is just a visual way for you to see the sorts of things that students should have covered in that particular topic. So you can use that as an indicator to see sort of where your students are and where there might be, sort of, for example, gaps in their knowledge. So in terms of our approach for mastery, we've essentially created lots of content that is structured into topics, and the topics are designed to last for a week. So each topic lasts 1 week in, for example, biology, chemistry and physics. Those topics give you links to prior knowledge. They give you progression steps, so where that topic is going next. You have a mini formative assessment checkpoint built into that. There are also links to GCSE Maths, so the GCSE Maths specification points, so you can sort of see how that aligns with GCSE Maths. And it gives you lots of teaching ideas, learning objectives, practical work. If you have bought the GCSE resources from Pearson, it does link to the resources as well. So it kind of seamlessly links in there. It changes the order slightly, but the resources are still very relevant because the ideas behind this are very much embedded into the published resources that we have. So we refer a lot to the published resources if you've bought them. If you haven't, that's absolutely fine. This is a free resource that you can use. It's started to be uploaded on the website, so year 11 is already there, and then you'll start seeing the next years as we go through this term. There are also details on misconceptions, links to working scientifically, and the other thing that we've looked at doing is trying to create lots of content around broadening the curriculum. So things like linking specific topic areas to particular scientists, for example, that are part of our Scientists of the Month series, or perhaps not, other scientists that we think are useful to talk about. It links to future skills and employability. So this is all about developing skills, not just in science, but across a student's learning as they're going through Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4, to develop particular skills that are going to be useful for the future, whether that is the first job or whether that's further study. So these are very, very broad ideas as part of the future skills, and it links to those as well. We've also got links to literacy in science, so talking about science, some kind of literacy ideas that you can use as part of the science. And there's also links to diversity. So we've got some diversity tasks in there. We've got some scientists that link to a few of the topics we've tried to focus on, where we've looked at particular scientists with a little bit of a focus on diversity and inclusion there as well. So these are already, as I said, a lot of these are available for year 11, and then the rest of the years will be coming soon as well. So in terms of what's actually there and what you can look at now, there is a mastery guide that you can have a look at now, which takes you through in a little bit more detail what I've talked about today. We've got the year 11 detailed mastery schemes, which are available right now, and that's got all the content that I was talking about, and I'm going to show you what one of those looks like in a minute. We've got some really lovely infographics. So it's a pathway through science, and again, I'll show you what one of those looks like. And the best thing for you to do is to sign up to be sent the latest information. And once you sign up, we'll send you an email. We'll send you everything that you need to get going with the content. We'll give you links to where everything is, and you can get started straight away. The other thing that we're creating for this year only, and they're up on the website now as well, are some progression tables, which are essentially, the idea is that they go through all the topics in year 11 that you would teach in year 11. They link back to topic that you would have covered in year 10, and just sort of show you where those links are. So for example, if you know you've missed a particular topic in year 10, you can look at where that's covered in year 11, and then you can maybe look at spending a little bit more time on the year 11 topic so that you can recap the year 10 topic as you're going through that year 11 course. So that kind of mapping across year 10 and year 11 topics has been done, and we've got that on the website so you can have a look at that as well. So hopefully that's useful, and it just sort of saves you having to sort of do that for yourselves. So a quick overview of the actual content. These are the 3 big ideas that we've got in biology, chemistry and physics. So as you can see, it doesn't massively change in terms of, science is science. It's just the way that we've structured the content. So for example, in chemistry, you've got materials and their properties, chemical changes, and then our Earth and its atmosphere. Physics, energy, forces and fields, matter and materials, and that sort of thing as well. So in terms of the mastery learning journeys that I was talking about, if you look at the poster on the left-hand side, that shows you the poster that we've got for biology. So you can see there, it's quite small, but you'll be able to actually see the content when we send it out to you. You can see the year 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11 as you go through. And then as you can see that line progressing through, and you can see this on year 11 on the right hand side where I've expanded it for you, you can sort of see where the year 11 topics sit and how they link to the big ideas, because there's a key at the top which links it to the particular big ideas that we have. So for example, this is a biology one, so you've got cells and cellular processes in blue, biological organisms for life, I should know these off the top of my head, in orange, and then organisms and their interactions with the environment in green there as well. So each one of these, so there's one for biology, chemistry and physics, and it's just a way to show yourselves to students even, so you can give these to students and sort of say, right, this is where we are with our learning, this is where you're going to be moving on to next, this is how the big idea that you're learning about links to the previous year's big ideas, and they could have it in their books. You could have it as a poster up on your wall, for example. But it's just a really nice kind of visual way to see how the students' learning is progressing from year 7 right up to year 11. So it's ready for biology. We're going to be releasing chemistry and physics this week, and it will all be up on the website. And actually, if you Google Discover Mastery in Science and put it into a search engine, it's literally the first link that comes up. But we will send you a link out after this session so you can go straight to the link as well. So this is to show you what the detailed mastery pathways actually look like. Now, the tables that you can see in the background are actually a little bit more colourful when you see them on the website, and that's just because this is a slightly older screenshot, and we've not updated it yet. And this shows you how quickly we've been working with this. But hopefully you'll be able to see when you actually log on to the website to see them. They look a little bit more colourful and a little bit more interesting. So each one of these, so this thing that I'm going to take you through is one topic, which is effectively 1 week's worth of learning. So it's got the first section is all about prior knowledge, what the topic covers, and then how that topic is being pushed forward into whether they're going to go into year 11 teaching or what it's going to move on to. So you can just sort of see the bigger picture of sort of how this topic sits within the big idea. It then links to key offset themes around working scientifically, program of study, just to make sure you've got all of those references in there and you don't need to worry about that. It then moves on to give you lots and lots of other information. So you've got things like the keywords that are used. They're split into tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 words, depending on sort of how whether they're in common use or whether they're particular scientific words that are only used in science. There are links to kind of what the misconceptions might be and some ideas for how to mitigate those or how to sort of address those misconceptions. There's the links to the Future Ready framework that I was talking about earlier, as well as links to our Scientists of the Month and our STEM careers and those sorts of things on the right-hand side at the bottom there. And then this one has got a diversity task, so it's got a task in there that sort of links to diversity and inclusion as well. So they don't come up for every single topic, but they are there for some of them where kind of a task would fit quite nicely with the content. We've also created rewind grids. So these are the formative quick checks that I was talking about earlier. So these are designed effectively so that the blue column on the left-hand side has got 3 questions that link to the topic that teachers have or that you've just covered with your students, and they increase in difficulty as you go down. So the first one is a relatively easy 1-pointer. Second one is 3 points, a little bit more involved, and the bottom one is 5 points. So that's like means that you've got to spend a bit more time formulating an answer there. The second and third columns generally tend to be from previous years or within that big idea. So for example, the second column here is 10.1 calculations involving masses, and then the third column is 9.1 on atomic structure, and it all links to the topic that they will be learning in year one, but it's just looking back at that previous learning. And you can use these rewind grids in different ways. So you could either give your students the whole grid and say, I want you to answer wherever you can, but try and get a minimum of 10 points. Or you might want to say, I want you to try and answer the first line, see how they do with that, and then answer the second line and the third line. You may just want to focus on this topic, so you could just use the first column if you want to. But the way that these are designed are that the idea is that you're constantly sort of looking back to prior learning. You're making sure that students are making those links between the content that they've just been taught and the content that they were taught perhaps last term or perhaps last year. Now, just a few ideas for how you can use these to sort of help with catch up with your students. You can pick up the rewind grids from the Year 11 schemes that we've got up on the website already. You can use those to sort of see how well students have grasped the content before moving on. You can access our catch-up table, so the mapping that I was talking about, looking at mapping Year 11 to Year 10, which is also up on the website. And make sure you join our GCSE network events, which are all about using mastery, and sort of it will delve into one topic and just sort of show you how you can pull out particular things and use them to sort of help inform your teaching. Okay, so the final section here is all about asking your science team. So there are just a few, if you've got any questions or if there's anything that you want to ask, please type it into the Q&A window. What I'll try and do is just go through the questions one by one and just try and make sure that I've got everything answered there for you. So I'm just going to do that now. And while I'm doing that, you can just have a think, see if there's anything that you need to ask, and again, type that into the Q&A window. Just get the question window up here. Okay, so there's a question, how can I find out about topics being covered in the mock service and the dates they're available? So it depends on when you're looking at doing it, actually. So the best thing to do would be to go to the link that I have got on the PowerPoint slide, and they'll be able to give you a lot more information. They can have a conversation with you about exactly when you want to do it, what sorts of things there will be. But the idea is that it's supposed to be designed as though it's a real paper. So technically you wouldn't know what questions are going to be in the real exam. So you could sort of say, well, let's just use this as a real mock for our Year 11s. And then we can sort of see how they do with that. But I'm not sure how much detail you'll be able to get. But the best place to go is the link on the PowerPoint slide, and then they'll be able to contact you and give you a lot more information there. Quick question on how much is the mock service. So it's designed per paper. So it's not per paper, sorry, per student. And you pay sort of per student as to how much it is. I think the cost is between £3 and £10, depending on which service you go for. But obviously that depends on what you're looking at in terms of the service that you're looking for and how big your cohort is as well. And there might be things that we can do to help support if you're like a big group of schools or something, and that could be something that you can discuss with the mock team. So again, contact the mock team, but the details are all there on the website. So that in the 3 sort of tiers that I showed you in a very small PowerPoint, they do have costs on there as well. So I think you just can't see them because they're so small. But go to the website and you'll be able to see what that looks like. Is the mock test available only for schools or individual students as well? That's a good question, actually. I'd always assumed it's for schools because it's done through the schools, but I will find out for you and I'll see if that's something that we can do for individual students as well. Question here, will the core practicals be on the public website? Yeah, so the idea is it's going to be on the qualifications website under all the other support that we have available there. I think I've answered that one. Would there be 2020 papers available anytime soon? So we're not planning to release those because they are probably going to be used for the autumn series. So we're not kind of planning to release new papers, but there are lots of mock papers and past papers that are on the website already that you can use. Can we receive a soft copy of these presented slides? Yes, of course you can. So you'll be sent a copy of these slides after the session. Will the autumn series be available for heads of department to use for mocks in November, February? I think I've answered that, but effectively it's done when you want it to be done. So you discuss with the mock team as to when you want to run the mocks, and then we can work out a timeline for you. Another question about the PowerPoint. Declaration form, is it the same for both triple and combined or just combined? So there is one form per school effectively. So you have one form and then you just tick which qualifications you're covering. So if you just do separate sciences or you just do combined, you only tick that one. But effectively, if you're covering everything, it's one form and you just tick that you're doing combined biology, chemistry, and physics, and then you just sign the form once. And yes, so there's another question saying, can you say that our demos acceptable for both triple and combined? Yes, they are. So the advice is for across all 4 qualifications. So it's not different for combined and separate sciences. It's the same for both. Will the October papers be released after they've been sat so we can see them? Yeah, they will be. I'm not sure exactly when, but I will check and let you know. So I'll make sure that I check when that is, and then we can make sure that when we send a follow-up email to you after a session, we can make sure we've got an answer for that as well. Okay, I think that's all of the questions. If I haven't covered anything, I will do a double check of the questions once we finish the session today and make sure that I've answered everything. And if I haven't, we'll make sure we put that into the notes of the PowerPoint slides that you get sent through. I'm just going to look if there are any questions in the group chat as well. Nicola, thank you for that. Mastery curriculum is such a fantastic addition to the curriculum. Really makes science accessible to all. I'm really glad you like it, Nikki. Victoria Musgrave looks great. Are the links to the documents on the same page? So as I said, the best thing to do is to go and sign up to the Mastery and you'll get sent links to the email. But I've got the web page open at the moment, so actually let me just put that into the chat for you all so you can see it. Okay, so that's the main Mastery page there, so you can see that. And then if you want to access the actual pathways, now this is the wonderfulness of the way that we've got this content set up. So content is on the qualifications page and the main Mastery page is on our Pearson page, which is lovely and clear for you all. Let me just get this open so that I can send you the direct link here so you don't have to worry about navigating across anything. So just give me 1 second. Okay, so this is a little bit of a long link, but that should take you straight through to the page that says Scheme of Learning. If you expand that Scheme of Learning, click on the button Scheme of Learning, that will show you the Mastery in Science pathways, the detailed pathways for biology, chemistry, and physics. The combined content is integrated within those. So in each of those topics, it will say at the end of the topic, this is separate science only, or if there is a topic that has both combined and separate science content together, it very clearly sort of separates out the content to say, well, if you're doing separate sciences, you'll have to cover this extra bit as well. So it's very, very clear with that. That link also has the 3 topic progression maps that I was talking about, linking from year 11 back to year 10. Okay, I think that's it for today then. So the last thing that I would like you to do, if you can, please, so there's a quick link there about following us on our Twitter accounts, and make sure that you've got subject advisor Irene if you've got any questions on mastery, or you've got me as well. And if you can fill in the feedback form, that would be really, really helpful for us, just to make sure that we're covering everything that you need and make sure that we've got everything there. So there is a link here for you, just to make sure that you can fill that form in. And thank you very much. So I'm going to leave you there and just say thank you for coming today. Apologies again for last week, and hopefully see some of you in our next update.